At MIFF, we are celebrating the diversity and richness in content from across the globe. In yet another session today of the MIFF Dialogues, we will be talking to filmmakers whose films are competing in the MIFF in the national and international category. Before I introduce my guests for this session, I would like to tell my viewers that who are watching us online, you can watch the films by logging on to miff.in. And you can register yourself in the hybrid mode. To begin with, I would begin with director for The Forging Future, Mr. Deep Chaudhary. Mr. Deep Chaudhary is a self-taught writer and director. His debut film, Alifa, won the National Film Award for the Best Debutant Director in 2017. Welcome, sir. Another director who's present here with us is Madhulika Jalali. She has directed the movie Ghar Ka Pata. It is a Kashmiri documentary film, and it has also been dubbed in English and Hindi. Ms. Madhulika Jalali has completed a graduation in filmmaking from London. She has been a line producer in Mumbai, and she has also produced A Death in Ganj and Sherni. She has also worked as an executive producer in advertising industry. Ghar Ka Pata is her first debut film as a director. We have with us Mr. G.S. Unikrishnan Nair, who has come with his film Return of the Holy Grain, which is being screened here at MIFF. It is in the national competition category. Director G.S. Unikrishnan Nair is a journalist with a degree in agriculture from Banaras Hindu University. His work in science communication has won him 13 national awards and 14 state awards. Welcome, sir. We have our international friends as well. Director of Brother Troll, Mr. Gurmund Helmsdal. Welcome, sir. Mr. Gurmund Helmsdal is a filmmaker based in Faroe Islands. He has studied film art at the University of Copenhagen. Following this, he's worked in the visual media industry in Copenhagen and Sydney. He has directed several short films and television programs for the national broadcaster of Faroe Islands. Along with that, we also have the actor of Faroe Islands with us. Welcome, sir. Next, we have the screenwriter for the short film Vikalp, Mr. Sudeep Nigam. Mr. Sudeep Nigam has been in the business of writing for more than 9 years now, and he's worked on a couple of projects, including Avrodh, and his upcoming project is Sher Dil. I welcome all of you, sir, for this MIFF Dialogue session. Hope it is an interactive one, and all our online viewers, as well as the ones who are present here, are able to gain from your insights. To begin with, I would like to start with Mr. Gurmund Helmsdal. Sir, your experiences of MIFF, and please tell us more about your film.
Yeah, it's been a wonderful time in MIFF so far. We've seen many great films, and this is the first time in India. We come from a very small country of only 53,000 people. So it's been, yes, it's been quite of a cultural, not shock, but yeah, a total new impression for us to come here. Our film is based on historical events in the 1800s of the Faroe Islands. It was a very barren land, and people were very religious, and people were isolated. So we lived off what we could in the land and the sea. In our story, there's only two characters. They live alone in a valley, and they have a certain conflicts between them because they've lost a brother. So they have unresolved conflict, and then things happen. So, yeah.
So we also have the actor of this particular movie with us. So could you share your experiences of filming this particular character?
Yeah, I play one of the brothers in the film, and yeah, it's a really strong film about two brothers and their relationship that is hard because the third brother died, and the loss of a brother, and then it's very hard for them, and the making of the film was really hard because we had to go high up in the mountains, and then we were cliffhanging, and there's a lot of crazy stuff. And we felt a little bit like living back in the 1800s because we had to carry all our equipment high in the mountains, and it was just a very little crew and stuff like that. So, but but it was a really good experience of making the film, and I'm very excited for the next one he's gonna do.
Yeah, we had some. I don't know if people have seen the film yesterday, but yeah, there's some really crazy stunts we did as well with hanging in cliffs.
I
and
did
all-
happen to watch it online,
Yes,
but I
yes.
couldn't complete the movie, and it was very engaging.
Yeah, yeah. So yeah, you should watch the ending. It's
I would request Mr. Deep Chaudhary to tell our audience more about his film and the project that he has brought to MIFF. So your film is in the special packages category.
My journey, actually, I always wanted to be a documentary filmmaker when I, decided to be in this visual medium, but it didn't happen. So I started with a fiction, for which you have mentioned that I got a national award for that. But this passion of making documentaries is always there in my mind. So when last time I happened to be there in MIFF and watching all those fantastic documentaries here, and it got really inspired. It was so inspiring, and I decided to do my own. And I went back, and Corona did happen. Corona, after 2020, and I bought a camera myself and I shot this film. And I went to that place. This film is about a blacksmith community. The whole village is, related to this profession, and smithies all around the village. And one interesting phenomena is my mother, her lineage with this village is a driving factor for me, to make this documentary, because I feel that the blood, this blacksmith's blood also runs in my veins. I mean, I feel like that. So, and I try to document their, the heritage and the, confusion about, the new generation. Are they taking forward this profession or not? Because the fathers, for obvious reasons, don't want their children to continue this profession because it's a laborious job, and they are educated now. They don't want to, continue this job. So this is a, dilemma, kind of, and so that's about the documentary.
So if you'd like to tell our audience your experiences while filming it, or apart from the inspiration that you're getting from within the family, what other things inspired you to make a project like this?
Because I always, I always remain in past or in future, not in present in many occasions, because I always the kind of I don't like machines really. I mean, I like manual works. I mean, how it was made, like in a forge. If you see how they work, with the hammer and all, and so. This is a kind of, I mean, because they don't want to, use machines. They want to continue with their age-old, instruments and age-old age-old instruments. And though their production is not, production is not good, but they still want to continue with their, heritage.
Thank you, sir. Ghar Ka Pata director, Ms. Madhulika Jalali is with us. Ma'am, could you please elaborate on your project and how did you ideate it, and what inspired you?
So, Ghar Ka Pata, which translates to actually home address, is basically my search for my house in Kashmir. I belong to the Kashmiri Pandit community, which is a minority community, and we left in 1990. And the film is essentially about exile and memory. It's basically about my own struggle with my memories of a house which doesn't exist anymore, and I don't have a memory of it. So I basically I took a holiday with my family after 24 years after leaving Kashmir. And I think that's what triggered me because I was suddenly in this very familiar land where people spoke the same language as I've only spoken in my, in four walls of my house. And I realized that I belong here, but I have never lived here. And I said, I'm just going to look for my house, where it was, how it looked. And gradually I realized that we don't have a single photograph of it, like not even a physical memory of it. So I was, and I mean, essentially it's about also whole sense of identity and displacement, and how there is, when people are displaced, forcibly displaced, how there is trauma that continues through generations in a different form. For me, it's always about the struggle of not belonging to where I'm living. I mean, of course, I live in Bombay, and but I know I belong there. And I just hope that people would resonate with this, irrespective of the reason that they're not living in their homeland, the feeling of living in exile, and the loss of a physical memory, loss of place, loss of culture, language, and how it affects people on different levels, personally as well. So, yeah, and it's a documentary.
Okay. GS Unikrishnan Nair, sir, please tell our audience more about your film.
Namaskar. My film Return of the Holy Grain is about the revival of millets in the tribal hamlets of Attappadi, Kerala. Actually, I have visited this place during 1980s while millet cultivation was very much there. But during beginning of 90s, some lobbies, some cotton cultivating lobbies in Tamil Nadu, this is the border place of Tamil Nadu and Kerala, they produced the farmers to shift to cotton cultivation instead of traditional millet farming. So what happened was that by the end of 1994, almost all the millets were replaced by cotton. Subsequently, BT cotton was also introduced in the place. So that became a big problem because the traditional lifestyle of tribals started to change. They used to consume millets and goat milk, goat meat, and etc. But after coming of cotton, production of millets almost became nil. Then they changed the food habits, lifestyle, and everything. This resulted in a large scale infant death there, and some health problems, etc. This is not the only reason. Poverty is also there. Along with poverty, deviation from traditional food habits also resulted in large scale health problems in Attappadi. So some journalists like me reported the problem. And subsequently, the government intervened. First of all, they banned the BT cotton cultivation in Attappadi. Then a scheme was introduced for revival of millet, that is titled Millet Village. After while introducing the schemes, the tribals were not willing to adopt this millet cultivation because while doing cotton, the Tamil Nadu farmer, these lobbies, cotton mill lobbies, they used to give money in advance to the farmers. And they used to procure the cotton back. So they could earn some money apart from, not like millet. Millet is comparatively a less productive crop. So here from cotton, they used to attain some money. And from that money, they could spend for their education of children and all. But this health problem was often forgotten by the community. So under the scheme, the chieftains of the hamlets were called for in the meeting, and the government officials convinced them that this is not good for you. If you continue cultivating cotton alone, and if you continue to eat some foods that are not suitable for your traditional health habits, that will be causing large-scale hazards in the community. So gradually they shifted back to millets. And during 2018 to 20, almost 80% of the cotton area was shifted back to millets. And but still the problem remains that there is pressure from these cotton lobby towards the farmers, and some are slightly deviating to cultivate cotton again. But the good thing is that the youngsters of the hamlets, they have realized the fact that this is not good for us. So they have formed a FPO, Farmer Producer Organization, and they have started to produce value-added products out of millets. So now the positive signs are again there, and I hope that in the coming future, millet will become a profitable crop for them also. Apart from being a good food, that will earn some good income for that also. Regarding filming of this documentary, as you know, Attapadi is a Mao area. Some Mao problem is there. That is forest area. Forest area, so some Mao problem is there. So getting permission for shooting was very difficult, especially using helicam, and also as a banned there. So we had to convince the district collector a couple of times. After that, he agreed to use all these things. They were telling that if you use helicam and all, they may shoot back or something like that. Anyway, we use a helicam and everything. But the tribals were not ready to communicate in the first instance. They were telling that you are just taking this to utilize us. You will show it some festival, you will win some award, and what is good for us. Then we told them that this is the world should know that the traditional food habits are important. It is important to keep it like that. So they agreed, and the documentary was formed. So through these youngsters, we approach if we go directly, we can't even talk to them because their language is also a problem. Their language is Irula language. There is a mix-up of Malayalam, Tamil, and Kannada. So we can't even understand the problem. So we took these youngsters. Then some youngsters were there as part of the scheme also, as the village workers. Some contracts were there. They were from the community alone. The government appointed.
Yes, yes. Mr. Deep Chaudhary would like to leave. He has another interactive session to attend to. Sure, sir. Thank you for being part of the dialogue with us, sir. Next, I would like Mr. Sudeep Nigam to talk about his short film, Vikalp. He's a screenwriter for the movie.
Right. I don't know how many people actually saw the film, but it's a 16-minute short film. It's like a drama. It was released last year on various online platforms. The core concept of the film, the meaning of the word Vikalp is actually choice or decision. You can interpret it in both ways. So you can either call it choice or a decision. So that flows in well with the idea of the film also. Because the premise is about a girl, a working girl. She is not from a big city like Bombay, but she is living in a big city like Bombay right now and working. And she goes through a certain untoward experience in her office, because of which she's really harrowed. Now, the entire film is played out within one night, where she has to decide or take a choice that when the morning strikes, the next morning, is she going to go back to that same place and work or not? That's the whole idea. That, and what are her stakes, where she comes from, what is her family background. So, like, it tries to explore beyond the right and wrong. Because as an audience, while we're watching it, we know what is right and what is wrong right as the film begins. But beyond the right and wrong, human behavior and how you you study human behavior throughout the film, and like how you make decisions is how much of it is connected to always doing the right thing. So that's kind of thematically where the film is. And we've tried to, when it released, it got a lot of good this thing, and we are happy that it's playing here and it's competing here in the national competition. So yeah, that's what the film is about. Thank you.
I would like, do any of you have questions?
Hello, I have a question for Matlika ma'am to you. Your film Ghar Ka Pata is like it is entirely shot as if the viewer is watching a memory. It's not shot as a film. Like most of the shots are many of the shots are blurry. They are not in focus. It feels like a very handheld. Most of the footage is handheld. So was that a purely conscious decision from the start, or did it just how it came to be?
So the whole actually Ghar Ka Pata is it's an accidental film, because I never set out to make this film. So I used a lot of footage from my holiday videos and home videos and from my phone, and lots of archive photographs as well, old pictures which are not even clear, but to me they are, that's all I have right now. You know what I mean? So, I mean, I wanted to use whatever comprises of what we think is memory. So whether it's in focus, out of focus, we still, it's important to us and relate to, you know, so I mean, other than that aspect, of course, it's a documentary, so there are interviews, but there was no, I mean, that's the most natural way of putting it across is what I felt. So, yeah.
So did you have a problem in making the act structure of the movie, or like did you stitch the movie all together and randomly?
No, the whole film came together on the edit because I shot it it was very gradual. Like I would take one interview, go back. I went to Kashmir, took that whole trip, came back. I had a lot of material and obviously, you know, with a subject like Kashmir, it can go into so many different things. But I knew that I am making a personal documentary. I am going to stick to something which I know personally, which is my family, and I'm only going to stick to my search for my house. So I knew that's the path I'm going to take. That's my search, and I have to find answers for it. So I mean, I worked towards that direction, and gradually it came together. It took me a year to edit, year and a half.
So in your film.
Right.
So anything particular about the city which you want to comment, or like why Mumbai?
Right. So if you see the film, the reason is basically because this is where people come to pursue their dreams in such a way. So we are exploring a character which has also been explored before. So it's like a character which comes from a smaller city and has very different kind of stakes for her. Her stakes of going back, her stakes of speaking to her parents, her stakes of telling the truth to her parents or to everyone. So, like the comfort that she shows in telling a truth to her roommate, for example, in the film, is because they both live in Bombay and they are here. Like, you know, so they have established that connect. Whereas when the mother calls, she's not able to speak that comfortably. But if you just imagine in her life, if she's like, say, 25, she's probably lived more around her mother, you know? So, but she's still not able to do that. So that's the kind of the dichotomy that people coming from outside face here in a big city. And it could be anywhere, but we wanted to base it here because we felt that this is the place of dreams. And she's come to pursue a dream, and now there are conditions to it. So that's what basically the idea was.
I have one more question. So to you,
Yep.
You mentioned that you had problems in carrying all the equipment to like where you're filming because it was like the lands were not particularly friendly. So did you have any particular story that you would like to share or stands out at the shooting for the story from the shooting?
For the shooting, maybe the most interesting one regards Nikolai. We have towards the, I don't know if you've seen the film, but towards the end of the film, he's hanging upside down on a cliff. And a lot of the film involves, centers around eating the traditional Faroese fermented leg of lamb. So I'll let Nikolai elaborate on that story because that's one of the dangerous periods of filming.
Yeah, it's in the film I eat a lot of fermented food because that's our national food, and in the scene where I'm hanging upside down, Gudmund wanted me to also eat food like I eat it right before I'm hanging, and the reason is that we had a gap in shooting. We shoot the first part of the film 5 weeks before. And then we saved the meat in a plastic bag, and it was the back of my car, and it stayed there for 5 weeks. So, yeah, you know what happens to meat that's in a plastic bag in a hot car. So when I ate it, my body reacted instantly. I vomited, but lucky for me, I didn't swallow the meat. So if I have swallowed it, I could have got really sick. But I was sick for 1 day, and then 1 day after I was hanging again. But it could.
And up and down the mountains, and so yeah, it was hard. But like all this scene with him hanging, which was very complicated to do, and a lot of other scenes we shot just in 2 days. Even him getting sick, and then we just had a stand-in. So it was it just was a reflection on how effective we have become as filmmakers in the Faroe Islands, because we're a very young filmmaking nation, but everybody knew what they were doing, and like we got these amazing shots just in 2 days, and which were really technically difficult. So yeah, for us that was really good, and yeah. But the main reason we call this a fermented Western is also because of the fermented sheep. Every country has to have their type of Western, and in Italy they call it spaghetti Western. I think in Korea they call it a noodle Western. So yeah, us is a fermented Western because that's one of our main foods. So that was one of the things. Yes.
Sir, I had a question for you. Sir, like, I know that tribals have their own language and they
Yes.
usually don't speak other language. So, did you learn their language to communicate, or like there was a translator or somebody?
Actually, I had told earlier, some village workers were there. Now, youngsters, they are youngsters from the community alone.
Okay.
So under the government schemes, these people were hired for implementing the scheme. So they know Malayalam. My daddy language is Malayalam. They know Malayalam as well as the Irula
Tribal
language.
language.
So through them we communicated.
Okay. You didn't have to learn it
Yeah.
to
no,
communicate.
no.
Okay.
Yes.
A question to Miss Madhulika, ma'am. I have a question to you. Ma'am, since there are films already made on Kashmir or filmed in Kashmir from different cases, did you pay any attention to the cases with which you were while approaching this story, your story?
Sorry, I didn't get it. What do you mean?
Ma'am, since there are already films that are made on Kashmir or filmed in Kashmir,
Yeah.
from different cases, while writing the story, did you pay any attention to the gaze with which you were approaching the subject?
No. Like I said, it's a very personal film, and it's a film about my search for my house. So I didn't have to look at any other case. I stuck to what I wanted to do, and what I was at that moment feeling inside me, and my whole why I wanted to do it. So I didn't look at anything else. So yeah.
So my question to Unikrishna Nair, sir. Sir, the subject is very interesting and very personal and specific to India as well. When we are making movies on topics like these, once the film or the project is completed, how do we envision that this project is helping people to change their agricultural practices? And how are we ensuring that much more awareness about the agricultural practices or the traditional agricultural practices is spread?
Actually, the main problem with the government schemes is that they are not sustainable. If one government comes, the government implements a scheme maybe for 5 years. Then after next government comes, they will top it all this. That is the main problem with the development schemes. So what happens is that some self mechanism should evolve from the community itself. Otherwise, these things won't sustain. But under this scheme, while implementing this scheme, a group of youngsters were there. Myself along with some NGOs there, we persuaded these people to form an FPO. And one person from the community was appointed as the CEO of the FPO. But now they are at very active phase. They want to procure these things. They got training from Coimbatore Krishi Vijnana Kendra for making various products from millets. And now they have started producing these things. And you may be knowing in Kerala there is good demand for millets. Not only in Kerala, throughout India. And now there is a highly emerging market for millets. So they are selling like anything. So there is no problem for marketing this produce, and they could market it with good margin also. So as far as your the question is concerned, I want to add one more point. Because some of the problem with the government schemes are that they don't understand the community where it is being implemented. They don't understand the real problems of the community. For example, in Wayanad, I have done 2-3 films at Wayanad, Kerala also. That is also a tribal area. Their government used to give houses, no? But these people, they used to live in eco-friendly huts made of this mud and everything. And one person was saying that even during floods, these mud houses are not affected. And during summer, they could get some cold temperature. And during cold temperature, they get heat from inside automatically. So by implementing they used to live in this joint families. Joint families consisting of hundreds of members are there. But while government started giving concrete buildings, these joint families automatically got split up. They started living in concrete huts. So what happened was that they were having joint farming system. They used to cultivate around 40 varieties of traditional rice there in Wayanad. All these varieties got extinct. But some person, you may be knowing what person is there, Mr. Cheruvel Raman, is a tribal farmer come conservator. He is a world-renowned figure actually. He is conserving 48 varieties on his own farm to keep this from extinction. So what happens, these government schemes is that the traditional systems are being torpedoed by this scheme. That is a problem. So I think the planning has to be more at the grassroots level. Then only these schemes will sustain and succeed.
So one more question to you, sir. So like when I look at some of the frames or stills of your movies, like a lot of those frames reminds me of like classic Western movies. A lot of them remind me of Quentin Tarantino style, Wes Anderson style. So did you have any particular like inspiration for the cinematography aspect?
Yeah, as my main inspirations from studying cinema for a long time. My favorites have for a long time been Kurosawa and Leone, and also just classic cinema in general. So one scene is Bergman inspired. So yeah, I take a lot of things, but exactly that scene got cut out of the film just to shorten it a bit. But there's actually a scene that is referencing a Bergman film. But yeah, so it's all classic cinema mainly that is the main inspiration. But of course, it's the inspiration and then together with the cinematographer and the nature we work out.
Any movie in particular that inspired you, or just classic cinema in general?
For example, the Bergman scene was a scene from Fanny and Alexander, for example, which was a ghost scene. We put a ghost scene in the film just because when you make a short, you can play around with genre. So in a way, we did a little genre twist in there just to see how that worked in there. But in general, it also comes from inside. I mean, it comes from everything I've seen, everything I've experienced as a film enthusiast my entire life. So it is a blend of everything. So, but I would say the only particular thing is the scene that's not in the film because we had to cut it just for length. But everything is definitely inspired by classics, totally.
I have a common question for all the filmmakers who are here at MIFF. I'll start with Guman sir. Because this is your first time in India, you said.
Yes.
So what will be your key takeaway from this MIFF festival? And what has been your experience so far?
I think the main takeaway is the rousing enthusiasm we got after screening our film for a full house. I mean, people were very happy with the film, and yeah, so the cheer we got for the screening, we were very happy about that. So that's a key moment, of course, but also meeting wonderful filmmakers from all over the world, and also meeting the local people, which are incredibly kind and friendly to us and helpful. So and just the vibe of the city in a way. So yeah, which is quite different from where we come from. So and yeah, number one, we're only here for a week, but definitely coming back to experience more.
It's so nice to hear that, sir.
Yeah.
Unikrishnan sir.
I think that MIFF is one of the best film festivals for documentaries in the country. I had the chance to see many very good documentaries. Also, I felt that the style of making documentaries are changing fast now. The younger filmmakers have taken filmmaking as mostly as an experience. I think now camera is telling the story. Not we are making camera tell the story. Camera is automatically telling. But the raw type of filmmaking is gaining more importance than the traditional. I used to make documentaries the traditional style, but that is not a traditional style of documentary is almost getting out of the scene. Think so. New type of techniques, new types of formats are coming. I feel that I absolutely feel that that is a very welcome change. Welcome change. I had the chance to learn many things from MIFF, and the hospitality is also very good compared to other. I have gone to many festivals, but in MIFF, I think that is one of the best festivals where the filmmaker is feels that the filmmaker feels proud that he is a part of this event. Thank you.
Thank you for such kind words, sir.
First and foremost, I think what a film festival does is introduce your film to an audience which probably is, I would like to assume, a more thinking audience and not just a general audience. There is like they think a lot more, and that's why they are here at the film festival. So it's always the discussions with them can be a lot better than what you have with the general audience, definitely. So that is good exposure for any kind of film. Having said that, I personally, I'm not a person who has gone to many film festivals or attended or been a part of it. But I really like being here today, and I think the experience was great. And hopefully, now I saw the number of documentaries which are playing here, and that's a great thing because I've recently worked on a couple of documentaries. Hopefully, we can bring them next year to MIFF again because this is a great platform for documentaries, as Sir also said. And we would love to bring like the a couple of documentaries that we have worked on and are going to come out this year to MIFF, maybe next year or something like that. So I'm looking forward to that aspect definitely. But thank you.
So I think for any documentary filmmaker, MIFF is one of the most prestigious documentary festivals in India, and to have a film here is, I mean, we are assured that there is going to be an audience. There is, like he said, there is going to be a discussion. And after my screening, I've had a lot of people coming and with so many questions, and I just love interacting, and which I was really looking forward to at MIFF. So I'm really happy that documentaries have a platform like MIFF where, ideas and stories can be just discussed openly, viewed, and it's so nice to hear everyone's reactions, criticism, appreciation, everything. So I think MIFF really helps. I mean, of course, animation, short fiction as well, but also documentaries in a huge, huge way, which it really is a huge support.
Thank you for your kind words, ma'am. I would like to thank all of you who are present here for giving us their valuable time and your insights into the projects that you have accomplished. It's often said that filmmaking is a chance to live many lifetimes, and with the themes which are coming up, like a beautiful short film on Kashmir, a story of a girl who's faced some inevitable circumstances, or a movie on agriculture depicting the realities of the country, and also one from our international friend talking about tales of things which we would not have experienced. So it's always interesting to be part of such projects and to view such projects through the eyes of the filmmaker. As Sir said, the camera is speaking. So it's always interesting to have such diverse content. And at MIFF, we are glad that we are able to celebrate such projects. For the people who haven't had a taste of MIFF, you can always go online and watch at miff.in. The movies are available till 7th of June in the online mode. And we are so glad, sir, that we had all of you on board today for this session. Thank you so much.